Well, we got kind of carried away, had saying hi to everyone. I'd like to call on Teresa the FALCO to come and lead us in our invocation. Teresa the FALCO. Teresa would like to come and invite you to lead us in our invocation, our pledge, and our national anthem.
Thank you. Thank you, Nolan. Good luck.
Hi. I guess it's time for me to lead us in a prayer, which is such a great honor. So I'll just start by saying, hi, God. Thank you so much for bringing all these beautiful people together that want to do great things for not only each other, but for our community and for people that we don't even know. I feel very honored to ask you today to bless all of us and bring us as much happiness and joy as you possibly can for the rest of our lives. Amen. Okay, and now it's time to do
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, loose from stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You may be seated. Richard is going to come around with the happy box into which you can put some happy money and tell us something you're happy about. Anyone is happy about something today?
I just want to do a shout out for my Ronald McDonald House team. This month we made breakfast for dinner. I think it was our most successful dinner probably in a year. I mean, people kept coming back for our pancakes. I was just amazed. And we did sausage and bacon and what else did we do, Marshall? What? Biscuits. Oh yeah, huge biscuits. All at the same time for 60 people.
All right. Looks like Bill has something he's happy about. I can just see it from here.
I'm so happy for our club that Eric Heitkamp is representing us. Thanks to Greg Pape, Eric has gone to Washington as a management consultant.
All right. Good deal.
We're glad to be back after being gone for about 6 weeks on a long trip. But mostly my happy bugs are for my Red Raiders And midnight last night. I was here.
There wasn't much applause there. That's because everybody here's smart. Okay. I have something oh, well, you are, I know, Paul. I am happy that Arkansas got to the place they got to as a 10 seed, and I'm also very happy that Eric Harrison is going to join me at DBC Advisors. We're going to be working together moving forward. So that's something I'm real happy about. So I'm grateful. Anybody else? Anybody else? Now introduction of guests. Who has it? Siobhan back here.
So I'd like to welcome back Faiz Nazari, my son that way. So he has been visiting our club and considering membership, so I would like him and chat with him and welcome him.
Oh, hi again. Thanks for welcoming.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, this is my guest, Don Deacon. Don and I met 65 years ago, freshman in college.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'd like to introduce two of our new senior management team members at Advance ER. I'm very, very excited that they're here today. I'm just going to pass the mic so they can tell you their names and where they work.
Hi, I'm Robin McGuire. I'm the Assistant Director of Nursing at Advance ER, and we're happy to be here. Hopefully we don't see you, but we do. We're here.
And I'm Candace. I'm from the Austin area, so I just moved down here. So Rhonda showing you the ropes, and we're going to be co-directors over there. So please let us know.
All right. Thank you. Glad you're here. Anyone else? Any other guests? All right. Well, thank you so much. I want to call on Marketplace Advertiser, Kathy Wall, if you'll come up here and make your announcement.
If they just give it warm. But anyway, I'm really thrilled. This is an amazing woman. Sarah Olia is a board certified estate planning and probate attorney. Her law firm is a boutique estate planning firm, and she is the sole practitioner who enjoys working with families and business owners to transfer assets to the next generation. So very important. This is my favorite line. She says, people often ask, Sarah, who is your ideal client? And her answer is, anyone who understands that the United States has a 100% mortality rate. I thought we all lived. I don't know. Everyone needs a will, medical power of attorney, and a financial power of attorney. Clients' preferences, wealth, type of assets, and goals ultimately dictates the type of plan that she will create. Sarah works hard to learn each client's family goals. Sometimes that means understanding their worries as well. She works with clients of all levels of assets. Sarah's office is located in Old East Dallas. She invites you to call and set up an appointment for a free initial consultation. Call her. Thank you so much, Sarah, for all you do.
Teresa Tobacco, would you come up right now? We're going to present you your permanent badge. I'm so excited about that. I am too. Teresa has been working hard to check the boxes to make sure that she is a full-fledged, new badge person, you wear the full-fledged badge here. And we're so proud of you for doing that. So let me present that to you, and I'll take that red one from you as well.
And I wanted to say, first of all, I had this done a little while ago, but the email was wrong. So I did all my things, I checked all my boxes. And the second thing I wanted to say is on the table as a gift to the Rotary Club, with your insurance, you come into Advance ER with no copay as a gift to all of us here and any of your extended family. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm so proud to be a part of the group and anything I can do for you. I'm really excited about 4th of July. And just let me know. I'd be happy to help you in any way I can.
Thank you. I put a note on all the tables, or got them out there to you, about the BONTON Wellness Center, the grand opening that's happening tomorrow. And it's from 11 to 2. The main presentation will be at 11 o'clock. I think it'll be about 40 minutes or so. So if you'd like to go out to Bonton Farms and be a part of that, there's going to be several of our clubs that are going to be there. Now, you may or may not remember this, but it's on the sheet that our club raised over $150,000 to help provide for I think it's the dentist portion of this wellness clinic. And so we have a vested interest. We did have a club meeting out there at one time, had a lunch there, and really enjoyed it. And I believe that, I think Karen Ferris is talking to Richard Stanford about getting another visit in mind for a Friday lunch. So we're excited about this, and if you have time and can come out to Bonton Farms, then please do that. It's in South Dallas. Also, the District 5810 Club Leadership Academy is happening the 4th and 5th of this
Just
month.
the 5th.
Sorry.
Yeah.
April 4th, April 5th. That's a Saturday, right?
Yes.
Is happening that day, and I think we've gotten information about that through email. So if you're in leadership in any way, or if you hope to be in leadership in any way, you can take advantage of that. And please go online and register to be a part of it. Now let me call on Pat Martin, who I think has collected all the raffle tickets, and we'll have our raffle. Now I have been remiss in how I've talked about that. Let me have the number. The money that's raised on this, through this, goes to our club treasury, and we use it for different purposes, not just the foundation. So there's been raised already through today $1,730. If someone draws the ace of spades from the deck of cards, they get half of that. The rest of that goes to the coffers here. So anyway, if you wouldn't mind, Jared, pulling out a number, then we'll read that in just a minute. Get the cards out. All right. The last four of this ticket are 2564. 2564. Who has that ticket? All right. Come on up, Cub. You are the man. I'm shuffling these to some extent. I'm not trying to stack the deck at all. But anyway, pick your pick of any of those cards. You pick are you sure? The Queen of Spades.
Wow.
So we have another happy loser today, and grateful for him. He gets to go home with that card as a memento of today's drawing. Next, I want to call on Tom Rhodes, who is our chair today. Tom, if you'd like to come and introduce our guest speaker from the Dallas Parks and Recreation Department.
Well, first let me tell you, talk to you about one of the most important things about our speaker, and that's the fact that he graduated from Texas A&M. Have you read his bio? This is so impressive. He's got to be doing a great job for the city, which I really appreciate. I know you do too. One thing I'm gonna ask our speaker to do is leave us your home telephone number. Do you remember the lady that worked for Encore who was a new member and we welcomed her into the club? And maybe the next week we all had power outage. Remember that? We all called her. We made her the president of the club. The other thing is, I know that you've got a lot of questions about the city and what you'd like to see done. And it reminds me of a friend of mine who said, you know, my wife and I, we're getting ready to renew our vows. And I'm like, that's the most dangerous thing I've ever heard. You can imagine a guy going, honey, I loved you since the 8th grade. We've had a great life. And so that's about it. Here she comes and she unrolls this list of stuff. What's the phone? There's some stuff I've been meaning to talk to you about. Yeah. So I don't want our poor speaker to be hit with what you have, street repairs, what's going on. So I'm really happy with this. He is obviously doing a great job for the city because they keep moving into different departments to clear those up and move to new departments. So you're welcome and we're glad you're here.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Jared White, Planning and Design Division of the Park Department. Our original speaker was going to be Ryan O'Connor, who's our Deputy Director. Unfortunately, he had a conflict, so he stuck with me today. So I'm giving his presentation for the first time, so if it looks like I'm getting my timing off or reading slides, you're absolutely correct. So we're just going to take your time and go through it. So we're going to go and get started. Kind of just who we are. So we're, it's a large nationally recognized park system. We have a lot of accreditations that we've been fortunate to get. A story that our director tells is, for those who've been around in Dallas for some time, kind of know the ups and downs this department has seen over the time in the status of the quality of our park system. You know, in the 80s, everything was really good. We were nationally recognized. There was economic downturn set, and everything was tanked. And it took a long time to get out of that. We got so bad, you know, people didn't want to be around our parks. They were a liability. So this department corrected itself in course correction in the early 2000s with our Renaissance plan, and that has set the track record and the path for us forward now that has brought us back to be one of the nationally recognized systems across the country. And just here's our stats. So we have over 400 parks, 25,000 acres, 180 miles of trails. That's my business. That's what I work on. You can see we have a large athletic fields, playgrounds, rec centers. So we have a very large and diverse, large and diverse system spread throughout the city. Everything from the park near your house to the big parks, Clyde Warren, Zoo, Arboretum, White Rock Lake, and kind of everything in between. And I tend to go fast, so we can kind of come back to stuff like that fast. So Ryan spends, I'm doing my Ryan speed, so he spends a lot, he does a lot of our partnerships. So you're going to see quite a bit of that, looking at kind of the metrics that we compare ourselves against within the department, kind of a return on investment, because at the end of the day, we need to kind of balance that out and see, are we making the right investment that's good for our residents, but is it, you know, getting us a particular return that we may need to get some other metric. But we get a big return. We get $678 million to the local economy that's pumped in through visitation to our sites. But I don't have all those stats now, so adding $345 million economic value, and then we get a 7-to-1 investment return. So every dollar we put in, we get 7 back. And speaking for the trails, I think we'll get to that. It's about that same, because we've gone from a point where nobody wanted near their house because we can't build them fast enough. We also generate $300 million in tourism revenue. A lot of that, recently, has been with Clyde Point Park, Clyde Visitation Fair Park, of course, the fair and all the other events. And that generates $202 million for annual tourism. Then getting into our partnerships, we have multiple types of partnerships, everything from the large groups that help us out with the Arboretum, Dallas Zoo, Fair Park, all the way down, all the way across to like the folks in the neighborhood. They just want to get some basketball hoops and so we're working at a certain cost level there where they're doing their fundraising. So we have all those different types of partnerships, and it's a testament to the success we've had as a system with our ability to foster those partnerships, and we've been exceptionally successful with taking our public dollars and then leveraging that against several times worth of public investment, or sorry, private dollars, or like federal and state money. And a lot of that has to do with our trail system. So I'll spend some time on this one because this is my baby. This is what I've been working on for the past 20 years. I would say the city of Dallas is probably one of the best trail systems in the country, and I'm 100% biased, but I think it's also true. It's very extensive. We're over 180 miles. This is all inclusive of, again, the little neighborhood trail by your house you may walk around on, to the big trails like White Rock Lake, Katy Trail, Santa Fe, North Haven. And finally, the system is becoming interconnected. You can actually move about the city continuously, because for a long time it was like, got the Katy Trail over here, you got White Rock over here, you got North Haven up there, but they didn't connect. So now they're all finally interconnected. So we're starting to look at that system as a system, and what do we need for wayfinding? How do we need to direct people where they need to go? Because a lot of times when you're on these trails, like if you're on Katy, you're up above the street. If you're on SoPac, you may be below the street, and you have no idea where you're at. So we're looking at how do we get proper signage and wayfinding. And again, our trail system, when I first started on this was right after Katy got built. That first section just went to downtown, and that was a fight. Everyone was used to having that abandoned rail line. They didn't like it, but they knew what to expect back there. They didn't want anybody back there. And so it was a big fight to get Katy done. But once it did, you saw the impact. Everybody has turned their businesses around. Everybody's got their Katy name on all their buildings. High rises are going up. So that kind of helped set in motion the rest of the city for trail development. It was still tough a little bit because people don't like change. You're never going to put somebody right behind your house going up and down the trail. So it took some time, some hand-holding with that. But now we see the success of the trail system, and we've got to the point where you can't build them fast enough. And so the investment we see here is 50 to 1, because everybody is wanting to be by the trail. They're purposely buying property for redevelopment, orienting their properties toward the trails themselves. And you may have heard one of the large projects that's underway now is called the LOWE. You may have heard the Atlanta Beltline. This is our version of that. And of course, it's going to be better because this is Dallas, and that's what we do. We need to do a better job of marketing. Everyone's heard the Beltline, but no one's, when you're reading online about things, you don't see this one popping up as much. But this was an initiative that started many years ago, back when I was in the park department the first time, back in about 2012. How do we interconnect our trail system? And how do we make it work as a system? And this concept came up. And it was originally a series of multiple loops. How do we interconnect the system? So you've got the loop that is shown here, which is on the triangle that makes Katy Trail to White Rock, south down to the Audubon Center, back up through the forest through the floodway and then reconnecting. So that's what the loop is. And this one, the focus was, we already have multiples of these trails already in place. So how do we make a small investment and make the little last links? And so that's what this big initiative is. And we're under construction now, and looking to be complete within the next couple of years. So we're going to talk about just a couple of these projects. If you've been down 175 to Pleasant Road, there is a massive project underway. Have you been in the government for 25 years? We're not always the fastest. We're not always the most efficient with projects. This project, TxDOT already had designed and ready to go. So the folks with the loop worked with Dallas County, worked with TxDOT, Federal Highway, and got a race grant for like 40+ million, and they started construction. They had to do some design work. There was a large, basically a viaduct, an elevated trail that's being built. It's a couple miles long. Because this area, 175 is up here. The White Rock kind of drainage area is down here, so that fills up with water. So this will be kind of floating just on top of the water, basically. The other part of this project is the reconstruction of Lake June Road. So this trail connects to Lake June, and that's been completely revamped to widen it. It needs some additional lanes for car traffic, but also building wider sidewalks, physically separated, dedicated bike lanes so you can transition from the trail. If you're coming south on the loop or going north, transition onto the bridge, and then you can connect into the trails that are going up around Huntingtonville Road and Horse Park between the forest. So this is a very fast project. It's expected to be completed next year, and just been kind of amazed that it's moved so fast, but it's never moved so fast. Other couple of projects, if you've been down around American Airlines Center, down off Highline, that area's been torn up for a couple of years. That's this project. What we're doing is trying to connect Katy Trail to the Trinity Strand, and this has been something we have looked at for 15 years. We've had all kinds of different ways to do it. So finally, the way we're doing it is reconfiguring the roadways to fit in multi-use trails, like a shared space for cyclists and pedestrians. Then you transition onto physically separated bike lanes because you got to get underneath 35, underneath Darton TRE, and kind of pop out the other side. And then when you get onto Highline, it has a very wide median, and so you put a trail down the center of it. So that is now complete. So now we have a dedicated connection, so we get folks who are moving and working and going to the design district, back and forth to Katy, and over to the American Airlines Center. That's already been, I use that trail. I live downtown, so I walk and bike around there. So it's a little self-survey. I get to work on projects that I get to go use, so it's really kind of nice. And then the other part of that, I'm sorry, there was another trail as we're building south from White Rock Lake. There's a piece that got built. If you get on the Santa Fe Trail south of the lake, there's a little spur that goes off to the side. And that heads down south along White Rock Creek, where it stops on the Samuel. The next phase down to Siene to the one Dart Station is about to go to construction. So we're building up from the south, and we're coming in from the north, and we're meeting in the middle of our two trails. Also doing quite a bit of work over at Fair Park. Lots of new master plans looking at how to bring the park back to Fair Park, how to soften those edges. You know, when you go to Fair Park, it's very much kind of a fortress. They've got their gates that go along the outside. So how do they maybe move those gates around, soften those edges? So there's a couple of projects we're working on. One is the conversion of the parking lots down by, it's always going to be Starbucks to me. So down there on the south end, so putting in a park to help kind of rejoin the neighborhood back to Fair Park itself. And that's kind of working toward moving toward construction. And then, I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. Yeah, so there's additional work there. Just some renderings of the park itself. So again, converting those parking lots into a park. Cotton Bowl is well under construction for the renovation, adding in new concession areas, restrooms, kind of making it more modernized by fixing a lot of problems. I think a lot of the walkways are very nice, so trying to widen those out so they can accommodate those crowds that is under construction. And then Clyde Warren, this one gets in the news quite a bit, so we're working on phase 2, which would be expanding the deck to the west between Akron and between St. Paul. So you'd have a structure on that comprised of 2 decks. You have the main deck between Akron and St. Paul, which would have a structure on it. So you have events, limited parking, but you have a little bit of office space in there. And then there'll be a secondary deck that kind of cantilevers out over Woodall. Right as the freeway's coming up, you can only go out a little bit, so that could just be a larger event space, and you could do events, and really like ice skating and all kinds of different plans for that. So this is currently kind of in design, hoping to let this project next year. Start the deck. It's going to take a couple of years to build the deck, and then probably another year or 2. So probably about, all goes well, 4 years out or so for the new expansion of Clyde Warren. Kind of just talk through this. So this gets into the stats on how great Clyde Warren Park is. I think we know that would be the return. All you have to do is go down there and walk around. Again, living downtown, I know exactly what that area looked like 15 years ago, and it looks 100% different. I've watched all those high-rises go up from where I live, so it's really exciting, and it's a really unique space. And I thought something, I was actually kind of amused with that fun. It was kind of an out there thought. Sometimes we're not the most progressive on kind of what other cities are doing, but everybody got behind it, and I think we've seen what that has brought to the city, and now everybody wants a deck. Deck parks going off all over town, so I'm personally fine with that. We've got proposed decks over I-30, looking at Southern Gateway. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then, of course, with the conversations with 345, with that being depressed into a trench, one of our decking options, either with parks or allowing buildings to build over them to kind of reknit those 2 areas together. So, talk about deck parks here. Then this is Halpern Park, so this is Southern Gateway. This is now under construction with phase 1. So TxDOT rebuilt the freeway. If you go down there, you can look up carefully while you're driving. You see like little benches on the side. So that's where the train for the park sits. So the first phase has been, the deck has been complete. We're working on fundraising for the secondary deck. I think we got some federal funding for that. Then fundraising again for the amenities that go on top. So this is under construction. So there's some renderings of the park itself. This is the full build out itself. So it's both sections. What they will look like when it's complete. Then here's a shot taken not too long ago showing phase 1 of the deck, so well underway. This will be complete next year. So there's some stats on how the funding is breaking down and working on that phase 1 that'll be complete right after the so next year. And downtown parks, we've seen these. Again, giving my perspective, these have really been transformative. These were all built on former parking lots. I've got a couple of these right by where I live, and they're just really great places. There's a lot of programming that goes on, and really helps bring the community downtown together. This gives them a space to go to either walk their dogs, we do movies in the park, and also just kind of stitching downtown back together. My anecdote is, I live kind of in the core of downtown off Main Street. If I want to go to the farmer's market, if you're heading kind of bagging toward like the East Quarter areas now, that was just a wasteland. You're like, the city just kind of stops, and you've got like 4 blocks of just desolate parking lots, empty buildings, and then there's the farmer's market, which is really turned around. So Harwood and plus the East Quarter development has kind of filled that gap. So now you've got a very nice, high-quality space to go to that's active, and you're not just walking through this massive empty space. So that's kind of my thoughts about downtown. Obviously, they've really helped make it feel like a community, and we've been very successful with the Downtown Parks Conservancy and all that they have done for the fundraising. A lot of that is funded privately. And they're bringing in our federal and public money, so I think that's been a great success in helping to stitch downtown back together and really get a nice sense of place for those visitors who live down there. The following are just several pictures. This is West End Square. This is next to the old restaurant that was downtown earlier. Anyway, Third Park. Yeah, that's right. So this filled in this big parking lot right there. So now you have a nice little gathering space, a simple square, if you will. Almost literally within the West End itself, and so it's going to flank by other buildings. There's a lot of opportunity to meet and locate down in there. And I've actually gone to Ellen's when that was open because they're always packed. I get my lunch and just go sit there in the park, so it's made for a real nice space in the West End. Carpenter Park, I need to get some updated pictures. So this is now open. This is construction photo. It's kind of a mad dash to get some of these pictures. This one has been very interesting. If you know about the history of Carpenter Park, it was a series of disconnected pieces that was cut up with all the roadway ramping that's associated with the highway. And it looks pretty in plan view as you're looking at it. It had a really nice portal slice, this big metal structure that ran through it. It looked great when you're driving by coming into town, but it really was not a functional space. So what this project did with the reconstruction of all the roadways at Cesar Chavez and Pearl, it cleaned all of that up, and it took out those center roadways within Carpenter Park, and then we've got about a 4 to 5 acre continuous park space. Some of it's underneath the overhead for 345, but that's been a really great transformation. It actually created a nice, usable space. We've taken advantage of the freeway overpass to put in, so this is their seating down there, there's basketball that's always busy, basketball courts, the restroom service facilities are down there. There's a playground. It's kind of a big passive park. There's a large mound in it, and they took portal slice, which is a very linear piece of artwork, and they turned it on its axis, and it slices through the mound itself. It's in the center of the park. You actually can interact with it. You can walk kind of through it, and they added filigree to it, and they've done a lot of interesting things to make that space much more interesting. And then this is Harwood Park. I mentioned this. These are the, I get it wrong, it's either mastodons or mammoths. It's one of the two. I always mix it up. But basically, allegedly, these used to roam this area back during the ice ages, and so we wanted to pay homage to that and give a nice fun play structure. So these are 2 structures that kids can climb up into, climb up through the snout, and they slide down and climb all around in it. If you remember downtown years ago, we had the old Gold Ring parking garage that was over by the Sally's, torn down from Main Street Garden. We took all these fabulous, like 1950s, 60s area gold rings, and huge. Put them in storage. This is when Will Spinners was our director, assistant director, who's an architect, and to preserve all these architectural elements. So we built a giant pavilion space, and out there it's huge, and we've used the gold rings as the roof of the structure. So it's this very artistic piece, and kind of homage to knowing it was just a couple of blocks away. Don't have a lot of slides on this. This is getting to some of our work that we've been done in Southern Dallas. I'm going to have a whole presentation about what we're working on with the Trust of Public Land. We have a trail down there called the 5 Mile Creek Trail. It's about 10 miles long. It runs almost the entire extent of Southern Dallas, from the Trinity Forest all the way across to almost to Grand Prairie, getting off over by Route 12. And they have taken this initiative on to help get that developed. And so I equate this to, if we're familiar with North Haven Trail in North Dallas, it's kind of the same thing, but you move it down here. This one I think will be a little more, could be more interesting because we're following creeks, whereas North Haven's following utility lines the entire way. This is a lot of parks and natural space, and Trust for Public Land has partnered with the city. They're providing the local match to some federal funding. So just in the last couple of years, we've received almost $30 million in federal funding and some other local funding to be able to start designing construction. So we're going from quite frankly, a project I didn't know would happen while I'm still working here. So we're going to be half done with the whole trail in about 5 years. So that's been a big success story. And other projects they're working on, they're looking at, with the Trust Republic plan, they have their 10-minute walk goal. We want the majority of the city or all the city to be within a 10-minute walk of every park. So they've been making strategic park investments in southern Dallas. Excuse me. One is Oak Cliff Renaissance Park. It's a small park near South Oak Cliff High School, I believe. And so it's a nice little park. They just took this vacant piece of land. It's kind of a site, you know, sort of. And didn't feel like it's full of trash. And got that word all of a sudden. And then, so they converted that and made that into a nice place that connects to the trail that was just built, and it's right adjacent to the high school. And then they're working on a much larger park. It's Judge Charles Rose Park. It's to be a 40-acre park down off of Wisdom. And so it's under construction now, having some park space for a lot of residents didn't have it. Anyways, we'll stop moving stuff around. Singing Hills, this is just touching on some of our rec centers. We have a lot of aging rec centers across the city. And so Singing Hills, this is just rebuilt. This is becoming our benchmark. This is almost a $20 million center. And so this is what everybody wants. So we're trying to see how we can build these high quality centers that have kind of suiting everybody's needs, from your kids to you have seniors in the neighborhood. So you have different types of activities, different kinds of spaces that each of those folks will enjoy. So this is our new high quality benchmark of a rec center that we're looking to do in other parts of the city. That's been very well received and very successful. Been out to Revershawn Park. This project is currently underway to redo the ball field, rebuild historic grandstands, add restrooms, expand parking. Just make that a much more usable space and bring it up to date. It was a little rough out there with the grandstand and some of those facilities. So that's currently underway. So some current photos of the work that's underway now. That's about to wrap up. And we also have, getting almost done here. We have what we call our Cool Schools program, where it's a partnership with DISD and RISD to use their campuses as parks and making them open to the public. So this is again how we're addressing our 10-minute walk issue, because we have a lot of parks that are, a lot of schools that are in the neighborhoods. A lot of times they may have playgrounds, but they may not be accessible, or they may not have enough facilities. So we've partnered with them to be able to put playgrounds and whatnot on the actual parks and have them that they will be open for the public use. So that's been a really great success as well. And last but not least, another project with the Trust Republic plan. This was kind of an interesting one, I think, is that the Trust is looking at using underused or unused city property as park space. And a lot of it is Dallas Water Utilities property. There's one library site. So they did all the demographic work, they got all the city properties, they overlaid it, they did all their analysis, so they come up with the first 5 projects that they're looking at. And a lot of them are on the edges of the city where development was kind of quick and the parks didn't catch up. And so they're looking at how can they reuse this Dallas Water Utility space still where it's maintaining its function as a flood control or some other function that Dallas Water Utility needs, and how can we activate it and get people in there so it's seen as an asset to the neighborhood and to the community, instead of being an eyesore. That's a really good program. And so we're working on, I think, the first 5 sites. They've completed a kind of conceptual level design. We've been meeting with the community. And these are pretty basic. We're not talking big, flashy stuff. We're looking at spending about $500,000 per park. That sounds like a lot. That's not a lot of money when you're building that park site. So that's going to get you some walkways, some benches, maybe some play structures, basic level investment. But a lot of these neighborhoods, they don't even have that. So we'll be adding new park space. And the first spot is called the Bushmills property. It's in kind of far northeast Dallas. And it's the Dallas Water Utility site. There's 2 catchment basins that are there. It's really pretty. It's got a lot of trees around it, but it's just at the back of everybody's houses. Nobody goes back there. It's got some homeless issues going on, some dumping. So this will help clean that up. So we've added seating and overlooks for the ponds that are out there, some play areas, and a trail that will go around those 2 lakes so people can actually start getting some exercise and walking around those 2. So that's going to construction this June. We're working with the Trust on how to get the next 4 done, so we're getting those properly packaged so we can bid them out. And then once they get those well under construction, they're going to start their next set of 5. So their goal is to have at least one of these in every council district. We'll have 14, so there'll be 14 new ones all across the city. So they'll look, okay, where do we need, what's the next set? So we're kind of making our list now. And that has been a very fast presentation. So I'm not going to say too much. First off, thanks for being here today. I think you used the word self-serving a minute ago in your presentation. I've got one more or less. On the Katy Trail, north end, there's a couple of on-grade crossings, one on Knox and one on McKinney/Harvard. Significant backup in traffic during rush hour in particular. Any thought, or is it anathema to the idea of a trail to have any kind of pedestrian traffic lights or control of pedestrian traffic at those two crossings? We have been working on that for 20 years. As soon as we built that trail, that was immediately an issue. Because Knox was already busy at the time before all this developments happened, and the trail was instantly busy. So you had we had high trail traffic crossing high roadway traffic, and we put up stop signs for the trail. That didn't work. We all know that. I actually had, I shouldn't tell the story. We were out there with Public Works and Transportation, kind of addressing the problem, or kind of look at it again. And two uniformed DPD officers who are riding the trail for security rode across Knox without stopping to come tell us we need to do something about people not stopping. And like, just did. So it's been an issue. I could talk a lot on this. We talked about bridges. We talked about stoplights for the trail. We were talking about stoplight in Knox. Stop car traffic. Quite frankly, I think that area works. It's very chaotic, and everyone's kind of unsure as what's happening, so everyone's slowing down. I know people don't like to go slow in their cars, but I think for that district, it helps people to go slow. And I've just gone out there, whenever I'm on the trail, or if I'm just out there observing, I sit there and watch a while, and I just watch. It's just everyone's going their speed, and they start kind of slowing down, and then they start making eye contact. Most people do, simply just go across. I think it works. It's got issues, but I'm probably the outlier, just from watching how that really works. But long story longer, yeah, we really try to figure out what's the best solution. Okay.
Are there any plans for more restrooms at the music hall at Fair Park?
That's my second music hall comment today. I don't know. I can check for you. I haven't heard of any.
About 20 years ago, this club, as part of its centennial project, built Child's Play at Botany. It was a major project, 6 figures, multiple of 6 figures. And I believe the city owns that property, but we built all the play structures and whatnot. Do you know any status update on that? Is it being maintained? I fear that it might show some wear and tear. Second question, again, a long time ago, we took a walk through a jungle in South Dallas. It may be one of the trails you mentioned, but I couldn't believe it. I thought, is this really Dallas? It looks like a African safari. It was just gorgeous. Could you make a comment about what that might have been?
Yeah. If it's where I think it is, I forgot your first question. You might be down in the Trinity Forest. We built a lot down there by the Audubon Center, and when you're out there, you're out there by yourself, and it's really pretty. But I'm thinking that's what it is. So we had some of those that were city-led projects through the old Trinity Watershed Management Division at that time. And then we had some that's called the AT&T Trail, because AT&T Trail, they paid for it, and that kind of gets you from the Audubon Center. So I'm betting that's where you were. Oh, yeah. So the playground, there is funding in this bond program to replace it. Bachman got money for both playgrounds because there was a large one, which I think is the one you're referencing. Then there was a one further away over by the pavilion. So that got $1 million for that replacement. And then the smaller one was like maybe 500,000 or so. Okay, that's the smaller one. So we're looking to replace both of those.
Two questions. Trinity Forest, it's under your all's purview?
Yes. Well, depending, yeah.
Well, it is the world's largest urban forest. It is Chicago, and the US is pretty amazing community. The other thing is all the trails that you were showing, especially the video, so it goes into some dicey areas.
Yeah.
So what is the ideas for security?
That's a really great question. That's something we do think about because, like I said, I've been out there. When you're out there, you're out there by yourself, so you need to be prepared. So a couple of things. So if you've been on our trails, you may have seen a green and white circular sign, and it has a little acronym on it that says your 911 location is, like for Katy Trail, KT100. So what that does, if something happens, when you call 911 or 311, and you tell them that number, they know where you're at, and they know how to get to you. Because we had big issues at Katy and at White Rock when this program started, where they're like, oh, I'm on the Katy Trail, something happened, and I'm at Lemon. Well, you're up here, Lemon's down here. So Dallas Fire Rescue, with the police, they couldn't get to you. So it just led a lot of response time issues and that type of thing, people getting lost. So our pilot was at Katy and at White Rock, because again, something happened at White Rock, like, okay, well, where? It's 10 miles around on the trail. So that's been very successful. So all of our trails have that, and as new trails come online, we install this. So that's kind of level 1, so you can be located if something happens. Also with our park maintenance division, they've been working heavily on this very issue with cameras and lighting and those type of things. So we can get out there and at least be monitoring certain areas. We also have our park rangers. So we have our own kind of security or police, if you will. And so they work with the marshals. And so we're kind of building in various layers of how we're monitoring areas and how we can get folks out there if we know we've got a hot spot. They can go out there and put on their rotation. And then, of course, we work with DPD as needed, things like that.
DPD
Yes. So generally when I've seen DPD, I don't know if they're going to be as spread out like that. I've seen them a lot on Katy. I see them downtown, maybe your higher volume areas. I know that Katy supplements DPD pay. They pay for that security. So I think we'll probably at first rely on like our rangers to be out there to be monitoring. And then if we start seeing problems, we'll start escalating from there. Either have them on a tighter rotation or get DPD out there more. So I think we'll have to, it's going to be kind of a site by site, I would say, issue.
So thank you for being a great fill-in. My ears perked up right away as somebody who goes to the state fair every year. I thought you said you're going to turn the parking at the state fair into parks. So where are we going to park?
So you have those large parking areas on it's called the east side over by Starbucks. So the first phase is taking out a small piece of that park. So I can't speak to how they've done their parking studies on if they're doing some displacement of that or if there's enough right there. But there's also proposed to be a parking garage. So the idea is to go vertical with that. So as those lots get reclaimed, we're replacing that parking and expanding it as needed into structures.
So at White Rock Lake, when you're riding around, there's some wood slat bridges that are kind of rough. Is there already a plan for updating them?
So at White Rock Lake, I have not heard about those specifically. We did get funding in the bond. If you take the White Rock Creek Trail north, that's really rough. That was built back in the mid-'80s. And you have a lot of wood slat bridges with that are really need to be replaced. So we got $7 billion in the bond for that project. And we're working with the Council of Governments through the Regional Planning Agency. They also control the money for your big public works projects. So we're working with them to see if we can do a partnership to take our $7 million and maybe make it $14 million. So we've asked for a 50-50 match would allow us to expand the scope, at least for White Rock Creek Trail, to get it rebuilt, widened, adjust for the floodplain issues that goes underwater all the time, and rebuild those bridges.
Jared, thank you for being here. The Dallas Park Department brought me here to Dallas 50 years ago. And they brought me specifically to help with a master plan for Old City Park. And Old City Park, I guess, is falling into some bad times. At least the Dallas County Heritage Society no longer exists. What's the future of that facility? Are we going to lose all those structures at some point? Does the Park Department have the money to maintain all that stuff? Or what's being done to ensure that the treasure that we've got out there, one of the first parks in Dallas, stays with us? I'm not trying to be evasive, but honestly, I don't have all the details on that, and I don't want to misspeak. So I'm happy to follow up with you and the group and provide an answer on that. I know there's a lot of conversations going on. I just don't have all those details, and I don't want to misspeak about that because I know how important it is. So I'm happy to follow up with you and provide something back to the group on that. Jared, you got a big job. You wake up in the morning, you go, okay, what am I going to work on today? You're right about Katy Trail. Remember, Highland Park wouldn't allow you to come through there for a couple of years. And then a couple of years after that, I saw real estate. And one of the first things they would say, we're only a block away from Katy Trail. Oh, we're only 2 blocks away from Katy Trail. I'm curious about the loop. How long is the loop? And you might have said this, but I didn't hear what you said about when the whole loop is going to be complete.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't say it. So it's 50 miles all the way around. Over 30 miles is currently on the ground. Now, these are the pieces like Santa Fe, Katy, pieces of White Rock that we're stitching together. So the whole thing, once complete, will be about 50 miles. The current projects that are under construction, these are the big ones like trying to connect along Highline, working our way south from White Rock Lake to Audubon. We are probably 2 to 3 years out. Highline's done, so the connection to the design district's complete. We have those 2 big projects, that one I showed along 175, that'll be finished in about a year. And then we'll be working our way down to Longview. That should start construction this year. So we'll have one little gap that actually goes through the forest. So we don't have a timeline on that because we're trying to figure out how to build it. We're getting into Corps of Engineers land because that's down there is where White Rock Creek kind of really spreads out into the floodplain. It goes underwater all the time. It's very dense vegetation, so we had issues with putting a trail through there. One, for disturbing the tree canopy, but also we need to have it elevated. And how do you do that in dealing with displacement? Because every bit of fill you bring in, you got to take some out to get everything balanced. So are we up on a berm? How high is it? Or are we on a boardwalk structure? And those get very expensive very quick. So we're working with the loop on how can we deliver that in time with these other projects, because once it's going to be a major, people are going to notice that now you've got this big hole in the middle that you can't connect to. So we're looking at, can we work with some of our outdoors groups, like say Doorbell, for example, or Green Space, who builds soft surface trails. Can we build one down there that will last? We know there's going to be maintenance, but it's going to be underwater, but can we design it so that we can get people down there now and fill that void until we can come back with another solution? We're also looking at, can we realign it? Instead of going straight through the forest heading south, I know it's tough without a map, we're basically going straight south, more or less from White Rock Lake down to Audubon. So could we shift it over to get us a little bit more out of the forest, out of the floodplain, might make the distance longer, but you might be able to connect to some neighborhoods and get us out of the flooding. So that one's going to be determined because we haven't figured out exactly what we're doing, but that's what the loop is really focusing on. The other piece that I don't have a timeline for is as you're coming north from Audubon and coming through the forest along the river, you're getting into the floodway, there's other little pieces that are missing. Some of them are underneath railroad corridors. We don't have the permissions yet to go underneath them, so the trail comes up to like the UP line or something, and there's a break. And there's some under TxDOT, and there's these little pieces that we've been working on trying to get agreements for. It's real tough to work with the railways to let us go underneath. We'll do it, but it takes a very long time. So those pieces are probably going to be a little bit further out. Again, the loop is really starting to focus. Now these other parts are kind of got their own momentum building. They're going to get done. They're trying to get how these other pieces have been sitting out there for 10 years and not getting built. How can we get those across the finish line now? So it's a really long kind of non-answer, I think, because I don't have that timeline for that last gap. Those little gaps along the road itself.
Hi, thank you. My parent company is D Magazine, and we were very involved in the I-345 discussions that were going on probably starting 10 years or more ago. You mentioned I-345 and there's a park underneath it. Is that what you're saying? So when will that be dropped, and what is the plan to reroute the traffic?
So I can't speak to TxDOT's construction phasing, but it's currently unfunded. We the city are having a lot of meetings with TxDOT and stakeholders, council of governments, federal highway, and TxDOT's going actually through the design phase now. So we're working through what this looks like as it's moving through the downtown area. But there's currently, to my understanding, no funding to actually do it. But if tomorrow the feds say, hey, here's $1 billion, we're going to be ready to go. Now, as for the park, there's actually 2 that are underneath the 345. You have Carpenter Park, you have a little piece of it, and then the dog park that's down off Canton is completely underneath. So we're going to have to relocate that. So if you think of 345, it's just going to drop down. It's just going to slice off whatever is underneath and a little bit more. It's going to carve that out because that's where the freeway is going to be. So we're looking at what are decking options. Since the freeway will be down in the trench, can we deck that? And we're working on how the freeway ramps work. There's a ramp that comes up to Live Oak there. So how can you do this to make it all work? So those are the conversations we're having. We had a big kind of workshop a couple of weeks ago. We had all these folks in the room, and we went through these options to talk through them. So it's very much still in progress, but that's the intent. We'll have decks. And that's one of the reasons people are supportive of the trench is because we can come back and deck it, either with a park or you can put buildings on it.
Jared, we've got 3 more. Mark and then Sarah and Beth.
So I'm a big golfer. You guys have done a great job with the city-owned courses. The play has really been elevated the last few years. I live on the east side, so I play at Tennyson all the time. And I remember, I know that there was a bond package that included a redo of Tennyson. And the last time that I had to play on the Glen side, I noticed that that trail is now complete, going through the Glen on a couple of the holes over there. So does that mean that some more things are coming soon with that project, or is that still further out?
I say that's still further out. So what we're talking about at the golf course is you basically have 2 sections, and they have 2 different. You have the Highlands and the Glen, if I'm getting the names right.
Yeah.
I think the Glen goes underwater.
Yes.
And so there's talk of what are we going to do with that site? It's going to be a lot to maintain. It's cutting into how much people can actually use the course. And they want to focus on the Highlands and either reconfigure that in some way. I think that's still a little up in the air right now.
Yeah.
The trail, I won't say it's a one-off, but it was kind of done out of necessity. We had to get through there, we couldn't go around it.
Yeah.
But it was done thinking of the future, knowing that the Glen at some point is going to turn into something else.
Yeah.
Either we let it go rewild and make it a natural space again, or we put in elements that it's okay if it goes underwater.
Yeah.
So a little bit further out. So
Okay.
A couple of years ago, there was an article in the Dallas Morning News about a bike trail or walking path connecting the lake down, from the lake down Ross Avenue to downtown. It wasn't clear from the article whether it was kind of like a dream or there was something in the plan but waiting for funding. Do you know anything about that?
So what I've heard about is a redo of Ross Avenue. And because right now it's like 5 lanes, 2 each direction with a continuous turn lane. And kind of trying to tame it a little bit, if you will, and add a median to it, make it more of an urban style street, and adding in wide sidewalk, trail, whatever word you want to use, about 10 feet wide on the north side, that would go from Greenville Avenue all the way down Ross Avenue to downtown. So that's the one I'm aware of trying to get from East Dallas into downtown Avenue. Otherwise, you're coming in on Santa Fe.
I got 2 quick questions. Number one, if you're going southbound on 45, determining where Trinity Forest is, there's no signage there that I've been able to detect how you get in. And 6,000 acres is what I'm reading. It's the side of the park down there. So getting access to it, I don't think it's very popular. Mark, the last question is all the improvements that are being made there on Lemon Avenue as you approach Bachman Lake, and you've got architectural features and all. Where is that going to end up?
So to your first statement, I agree. And also a lot of the forest really isn't accessible. We kind of struggled with that over the years. I think it was a Dallas County project where they wanted to put in a trailhead off of a little residential street to provide access, but it wasn't part of something else. It was just adding a parking lot, and I go, that's a bad idea. Like, you're just going to be asking people to come here and park and do things they shouldn't be doing without something, an activity. So I think the greater access has been a struggle, but we've had kind of targeted access points. You get in at Audubon, you get off Simpson Stewart. The trail that we're building through the loop will provide additional access. We're connected to the Longview Dart Station. We anticipate and we hope that people actually will take Dart as part of their journey and ride along the trail and take it back. So that'll help provide another access point. Regarding Lemon Avenue, if you've been over by Luffield, this is a Department of Aviation project. This is part of the beautification project of the airport, because they own a lot of property all around the airport. And so if you're going north on Lemon, heading toward Bachman, over on your right, you probably see a lot of construction. They've redone some of the intersections, trying to clean those up, and they've added about a 10 to 15 foot wide trail from University Boulevard all the way up to the lake, so it's under construction. So that'll be a new trail on the east side that will provide all those neighbors over there, those neighborhoods, access to Bachman Lake without having to drive. And what's nice about it is aviation's going to maintain it for us, because they're putting all this pretty stuff out there. They have all this artwork of pretty signs and lights, and they're like, okay, we're going to maintain what we're doing in our right of way. But they're also building out a park for us. There's what's called Midway Manor Park, and you've probably seen it 100 times, but there's nothing there. It's just a basketball court. And they fully built that park out. They put in walkways, they put in really big fun play equipment, but that'll be for us to maintain. So that's what that project is. It's part of aviation's left field improvement project.
Well, Jared, thank you so much for being here with us. A book is going to be placed in your name and your honor at the Jack Lowe Senior Elementary School for being with us today. Let's give him a big round of applause. I'm sure he'll stand around and talk about the other projects that didn't come up already. That might be forthcoming. Next week, next Friday, we're going to be hearing from BONTON Farms, as I mentioned earlier. The executive director is going to be coming to talk with us, and Karen Ferris is going to be the chair of the day. And Teresa, would you come and lead us in the four-way test? Let's all stand.
The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. We made it through. I didn't know. Or at least well, no, I'm just saying that we were talking about I thought about it you know, I have a picture. I'm a disruptor. We'll get a vote via email. Send me the information. I'll get it.